Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. I'm your host and beat writer, Brock Vieira. This is our second video in a series of videos we're doing with my good friend, Pierce DeLuna, also known as First and Tuna. We are providing different perspectives on the Rams' offseason moves. I, of course, am providing my perspective as an unbiased beat writer. He's providing his perspective as a fan journalist who has since ventured into being one of the premier fan insiders and giving solid insight into the operational team, the moves that they're making, so on and so forth. I want to have these two contrasting perspectives in order to give a proper overview on the entire situation happening with the Rams right now. We spoke about some of their additions in our previous episode. We'll check that one out. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about the losses sustained by the Rams in free agency. Just to start talking about them, Roger McCreary was signed by the Detroit Lions. Kobe Durant was signed by the Dallas Cowboys. Ahkello Witherspoon remains a free agent. Darius Williams elected retirement, so we wish him the best in his next venture. And because of those moves, the Rams, not in a result, but just in their entire offseason plan, program, however you want to call it, they want to reinvent that defensive back room. So we're going to talk about the losses that's happening to the Rams defense, along with what are the lessons the Rams can learn after Tutu Atwell finally says goodbye. He signed a one-year deal, returning to his home state of Florida. Is now a member of the Miami Dolphins. Pierce, let's talk about first the cornerback room. Obviously, you and I have had many conversations regarding that unit. How will those losses affect the Rams, especially now that they decide to invest so much money into the secondary?
Man, good to be back on again. It's easy from the fans to be like, hey, good riddance because so-and-so is gone. Somebody who, hey, this player needs to play a little bit better. This player didn't fit the system. Speaking primarily of on the offensive side, Tutu Atwell. It's one of the biggest conundrums I can imagine contractually in Rams' existence. You sign him to $10 million guaranteed, barely use him. I know a lot of that goes into the injury need and 13 personnel and the blocking needs. But he's one of the players I'm happy he's getting an opportunity in Miami. He's going to get it with a new quarterback. Like they need a speedy guy, and it's going to be really excited for him. I do think a lot of Rams fans are happy to see him get his opportunity somewhere with the cornerbacks. Kobe Durant, Roger McCreary. Man, a lot of love to Aubrey Pleasant as well. I know he's not coming back, but what he was able to do with these guys who haven't been, locked down, shut down corners as starters known for their career. Kobe Durant being a small school guy, Manuel Forbes being, a project reclamation of his, first round talent, trying to find his way on a Rams team. What AP was able to do to keep this unit together, piecemeal something to get them to the NFC Championship game. Ultimately it didn't work out. There was a lot of holes that needed to be fixed, a lot of schematic issues, but he got them there. Like that speaks volumes to AP. And then losing McCreary, losing Durant, that signals more of a change of approach to the scheme. What was missing was more pressure from depth, actual blitzes, not just relying on 3 and 4 man pressures and stunts to mask everything. But hey, man, Kobe Durant, a little bit undersized, wasn't the best in man. He doesn't fit the scheme. Allow him to go somewhere else. I don't want to say addition by subtraction, but with these new signings, the Rams upgraded to what their new scheme is going to be. It's not a slight on those guys, and especially not Roger McCreary. Like we didn't really get a chance to see him do anything. He is one of the most Rams to exist ever. Best of luck to him in Detroit. But I was kind of bummed I didn't really get to see him do too much for the Rams last season.
Yeah, it does suck because when he first started to break through, of course, he got injured. I missed a significant amount of time. But when you saw him again in the playoffs, I look at that Bears game in particular. I always felt that there was something there. And when it came to the defensive backs, I was a big proponent of keeping Curl and also McCreary. I also vouched for Durant based off what I knew about him, his film, his ability to be a ball hawk. But I did understand the team wants to go in a different direction. I did think that the Rams were going to add to that cornerback room. I didn't know which way they did yet, and that's why I was clamoring for the Rams to re-sign Durant. But when they execute a trade for a player like Trent McDuffie, who does so much, and I would use the word similar, but isn't that bigger body type of cornerback, There just really isn't a role for him anymore. So I understand why they departed with him. McCreary is a bit of a interesting one because the Rams went out and traded for him in mid-season, and you did see the potential. You just never got a chance to see it enough. What I really enjoyed about him is that he could play inside and outside. So when you look at that three-man cornerback rotation, if the Rams wish to proceed with that into next season, he could have been that fourth guy because he would still have been able to be utilized on the inside and then also on special teams. I also feel, when you look at what he signed for Detroit, I don't have the numbers in front of me. It's like a 1-year deal. Like, it's not something that would break the bank in order to keep him, as a depth piece. But I start thinking about, hey, if you're Chris Shula, right, and you bring in, and the Rams are bringing in guys like McDuffie and Watson, obviously this is all set up for that. What I see this being is that Watson's going to get one boundary, McDuffie's going to get another, Curl's going to, or even Cam Kitchen's going to play that center field role, right, and Shula's going to limit the field of play, right, protect the top, and hey, we have, 8 defenders now underneath. Go wreak havoc on everything, and when you have guys wreaking havoc, you can get exhausted really quickly. Quentin Lake is a guy's gonna play every down, so I'm not worried about him. But I think about Tech McCullough, and even if you rotate in Josh Wallace, I still think McCree has a role in that system. And for whatever reason, the Rams just didn't see it in that way, and you're gonna have to trust their judgment on this one. The one judgment you can't trust them is what has been the past 5 years of Tutu Atwell. I mean, I don't know how to put this in a nice way. It was absolutely ridiculous what we witnessed for the past 4 years. I'm not gonna count his first year because he was hurt, but like when Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp went out in 2024, Tutu Atwell was the number one receiver. He was even out producing Demarcus Robinson, even though Demarcus Robinson does fit that wide receiver 3 role a lot better than Atwell ever did, right? So the talent is there. The speed is there. Everything was there to at least give him a shot to do something. But you look at this past season, I mean, he did win that Colts game, even though he took advantage of busted coverage and was wide open on that touchdown pass. Right?
Speed kills, baby. Speed kills.
Man. Speed kills, especially when there's 20 yards of separation in between you and the nearest. But you're talking about a guy who the Rams essentially paid $10 million to know the offense. That was his role. Like, know every wide receiver position, every route pattern. Like, and they paid him $10 million. And then you start looking at the rest of the season. Jalen Ramsey becomes the biggest question mark. Obviously, it's a bit different because Ramsey didn't play outside corner completely last season for Pittsburgh. Was more of a nickel backer than anything. I'm just more of a versatile chess piece defender. But you do wonder, had the Rams saved that $10 million and been able to invest the remaining cap space to go after a guy like Jalen Ramsey, depending on what that trade value would have been, because the Rams were heavily invested in bringing him back, could he have possibly been the difference maker in some type of way for this defense in Seattle in that NFC Championship game? I'm not even talking about his play on the field, which is already fantastic, even in his older age. I'm more just talking about the sheer veteran presence on that defense. We spoke about this in our last episode, but when Jared versus Kobe Turner, people on defense are saying, hey, we weren't mentally right. We thought we were going to roll in, whip ass, and move out, right? That's the plain way of putting it. Ramsey would have been that type of player, but like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I had Aaron Donald as my teammate, and we never thought like that. You know what I'm saying?
We've seen Ramsey fight people on the field, his own teammates. He will do it. Yeah.
He literally fought like his son's uncle, right? In Golden State. If I'm not, I believe that's the. I'm not confused with the fight. We all saw the fight. I believe that's the relation.
There's family relation there. Yeah.
Like, do you think he cared when they were beefing after the game? After the game, like if there's any and you do wonder if that attitude would have been the difference in that contest. Obviously, the Rams went out and made their changes. The one, dare I say, question mark that I have about the losses that they were willing to undergo is, was it enough? I understand why you, like I said, Atwell, Durant, and so on. But for the most part, this roster is still kept intact. Is this roster good enough now with these additions to truly go out and compete for a championship? This is a top 4 roster. So I'm not there. Before anyone comes on and says, "Whoa, what are you talking about? This roster's not good." I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the mental maturity paired with the quality, paired with the wildness that is the NFL playoffs. Is this team good enough, or is there a glaring Achilles heel that still exists because the departures weren't exactly what who the round need to go, and they might need to have departed with others, or might have had to add somebody else? What are your thoughts?
I think you're one draft away from feeling a little bit more complete about the team. The team, like this initial start out the blocks, they're ahead of the pack right now. You look at what they've signed, like they're odds favorite for the next Super Bowl, for whatever that's worth for anybody that does betting. But secondary, you feel way better. You look at the list for this year compared to this time last year, you feel much better about it, knowing, hey, we can go man coverage. You're going to get some more turnovers in the air. You're going to get worse passer ratings from opposing quarterbacks. But you feel confident about that. The one area that I'm concerned about is that line. How are they going to adjust to this new system, or new system of more man, adding some more pressure? How are they going to react to it? How are they going to react when things get tough? Because the season's not going to be perfect. Even if you go 17-0, there's going to be some comebacks and there's going to be some trying times. There's going to be injuries. How do you react to that? Because it's hard to come back from a long season, but then also a letdown where it didn't even seem like a talent thing. It was a mindset thing. You kind of beat yourself. You put yourself in a position to let another team walk all over you in the biggest game of the season of some of these guys' lives. Now, the one area of need that I think still needs addressing is the center of the field. I know Nate Landman signed a new contract. He's got an extension. He's the captain and center of that defense. But at no point has anyone ever said Nate Landman is the best player of all 22 players on this NFL field right now. Despite the all pros on that field right now, I still don't feel like there's one person on that defense that could sit there and say, no matter who's on the field that they're playing against, that guy is the best player on the field. I still think you need that one like young, hungry rookie on defense. And that's why a lot of people think like, man, go get a Sonny Styles if you can, get a Caleb Downs if you can. One of these names that, like, even if they're raw and they're going to have to work in some snaps, they're just damn good at football. And I think that's a need at the middle of the field. Nate Landman's a steady presence. You need someone who can blitz, hit hard from depth, who can be an ace in coverage and just fly sideline to sideline with a lot of athleticism. Omar Speights is fast, but is he the guy to be his running mate? I think that's an area that they should really seriously look at, in my opinion.
I agree with you. And to wrap up our episode, let's talk about the draft a little bit. I do understand where you're coming from, especially with a player like Sonny Styles. Maybe it's me personally, but I'm looking a little bit later on in this draft, even if the Browns have to move up to go and get him, Josiah Trotter from the University of Missouri. First of all, family pedigree, absolute incredible player, has the accolades to back it. I believe he's only 20 years old, so he's young, he's hungry, and he's going to grow within this defense. And by the time he's up to be re-signed, obviously we know linebacker is a position the Rams have historically invested a ton of money in. I think Landman is the first off-ball linebacker to get a massive, dare I say massive compared to some of the other numbers, massive extension or massive contract for the team since Bobby Wagner in 2022. And of course, Wagner was released that following year due to cap reasons, if I'm not mistaken. I think Trotter fits in very nice. And the reason why I mentioned him is because while I'm a big proponent of selecting a wide receiver, specifically Mekhi Lemon, with the 13th overall pick. To me, if this player is there, you have to double dip at this position. Actually, at this point, triple dip at this position. That is to go and get LSU's Mansour DeLuna from LSU, an absolutely incredible cornerback. And when you look at the ability to refresh multiple units that run a lot, it will be such a critical factor. I would allow him to grow within that system, thus allowing the rest of the rounds to be a bit more aggressive, because you know that no matter what happens at the cornerback position, you're going to have the players in rank that can help you out in the long term, especially with the Rams' defensive policy of force them to make one more play. Well, hey, it's going to help out if you have McDuffie Watson and Forbes as your trio rotation, and then you have Delane coming in because at that point he's not going to go up against your number ones and number twos. He's going against 3, 4s, and 5s, and in that state, I want to take that deal all day. And then when you're looking at a player like Jalen Watson, yes, he's on a 3-year deal, but the way I think it's structured, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be it's a contract that he can get out of after like 2 seasons, and they might have to, not because of what he does on the field, but because of simply the cap issues associated with this team. The last thing that I will say about this before we wrap up this episode, I want to get your thoughts about this, is when you look at this Rams roster and you look at the offense, obviously the entire talk has been about the defense. But like the secondary last year, there hasn't been investment into the offense this year at all. Obviously, there wasn't a need to do so. You're getting Devontae Adams back. You're getting Puka Nacua back. You just re-signed Tyler Higbee, so your entire tight end room is back. Your entire starting 5 of the offensive line is back. Yes, Rob Havenstein did retire, but let's be real now. He wasn't a consistent starter last year because of injuries. And Warren McClendon, clearly, he earned that spot. You don't have questions about your running back room. You don't have questions about your quarterback. But is that enough for Matthew Stafford to put on a repeat MVP performance? Or do you think that the Rams should go out and add someone to this offense in free agency or in the draft? And if so, who do you think that player or players should be?
Man, this is you're bringing up all my my study guides from all the mock drafts I've been doing the last few weeks. There's a lot of different ways you can approach it. I think Mansour Delane does add that element of I'm the best player on the field. He watches LSU tape. It's like he'll go stretches and drives where it's like you can't get a ball near him. Otherwise, it's going to be bad news for the defense. Trotter fits that same mold. Another guy I like, I know we're talking defense. I'll get to the offense here. What's this guy? Not Romello Height. Cassius Howe, Texas A&M. I know it's not a need at edge, but if it's best player available, like you just need a guy. Like you watch Cassius Howe play, he'll go a full drive and just make 3 plays in a row. Like he'll get 3 sacks in a row. But on the offensive side, I do think they need to add a weapon as just a changeup. That's why I'm okay with Mekhi Lemon at 13. I'm even okay with Kenyon Sadiq at 13. If you want to do something weird, like we talked about, what is that next iteration of the Shanahan style offense? What is that next curveball? What's the next pitch that no one's invented yet? Is it, hey, we got a bunch of tight ends, but 2 of these guys are basically receivers? That makes defense really hard to game plan for. Is it a different running back, a change of pace one? Is Jarquez Hunter the answer there? I do think addressing those needs in the draft is okay because you like you said, you've got your whole core. Your whole core is back. Now, every single year I live by a mantra, guys get better or guys get worse. I think Stafford was an MVP. How do you get better from that? What if he throws for 5 less touchdowns, 10 less touchdowns? Where is it the counter to that? What if that's the best Puka Nacua ever gets? What if Devontae Adams' hamstring is not fully healthy? Who's wide receiver 3? Who's the guy that can take over like Konate Mumfield did, for a play here and there? Is Jordan Whittington ready to step up? Like that's where you insert a Mekhi Lemon, a Jordan Tyson, later in the Omar Cooper Jr. Like those kind of guys. And to satisfy everything, like I know you're asking like, who do you take here and there? If you want to double dip on a bunch of stuff, trade back, you get yourself Omar Cooper Jr., you grab a Colton Hood instead. Like there's so many guys that can legitimately plug and play with this team. It's kind of unfair. It feels fake that if you tried making this team in Madden, like forced it feels like the Madden would be like, yeah, you don't have enough money. You can't do that. And then have all these draft picks. Like, what are you talking about? I would love to see them address offense and kind of get greedy. Like, okay, cool. Here's Shula. Here's all your toys. We're going to try to score 50 points no matter what. And if that means trading up to get someone to be an X factor or trading back and just acquiring a buttload of rookies to just pepper through the team, cool. Make it happen. I trust McVay McVay can turn a superstar out of a 5th round guy. He can make 2 starting tackles out of an undrafted guy and a 5th round guy. You mean to tell me he can't grab a receiver in the 3rd round, and all of a sudden he's the best wide receiver 3 in the league? He's gotten deep shots. That Atlanta game I thought was going to be the Xavier Smith legacy game. Like they've got ways to get guys open, and now you add in a natural talent like some of these this wide receiver class is crazy deep. It's going to be unfair. Like I think the Rams are going to grab someone this draft that makes you go, wow.
So just some closing thoughts on everything you just said. When it comes to the edge position, the last 2 times the Rams in the McVay era have made the Super Bowl, those runs have been as a result of in-season trades for veteran edge defenders. In 2018, it was Dante Fowler Jr. In 2021, it was Von Miller. So despite the fact they have Byron Young, Jared Verse, and of course a rising Josiah Stewart, the need is always prevalent. When it comes to the wide receiver position of Devontae Adams, you do have to wonder, especially after we witnessed last year, if Devontae Adams is hurt for an extended period of time, who is going to be that red zone threat for them? As we all know, the Rams have struggled in the past 3 years to run the ball in that area of the field. When you look at Kenyon Sadiq, there is a clear connection there. University of Oregon, Terrence Ferguson's teammate. But you do wonder, do Ferguson and Sadiq do too many similar things to draft him? While, and if you do have that concern, is their ability to block or perhaps a possible inability detrimental to your entire operation of the offense? If you do trade back, are you risking giving up a Hall of Fame talent to somebody else in that division, in the division, or just in the conference in general? And then my last thought about everything Mr. Pierce, aka First and Tuna, check him out, just said is simply this: the running back position is a unique one, especially for the Rams, because for some reason, Sean McVay has a redshirt year associated with every running back he's ever drafted, essentially. I think maybe Cam Akers, if I'm not mistaken, might have been the only one who didn't have a.
He played some his rookie year. I think so, yeah.
Obviously, Todd Gurley was there when he first got there, and Gurley was a monster in St. Louis already, so it wasn't even a question about regarding his utilization. If the Rams go out and get a running back, in general, it's not going to affect Kyren Williams, because Kyren Williams is the Rams' golden boy, and rightfully so. He does everything that they need him to do. Runs the ball efficiently. Definitely worked on his fumbles. I think he only had one, which was that San Francisco game, which I know people want to give him stuff for, but he got punched by a defensive tackle in his jaw. Like, I'm fumbling the ball. I'm fumbling, consciousness. Definitely
pocket change flying out.
Yeah. Everything's empty at that point if I got clocked by Alfred Collins in the face. And then Blake Corum had a massive a year where he came out and had a big year where, in my opinion, had he gotten maybe 20 to 30 more carries, the Rams could have had 2 1,000-yard running backs. And then you also wonder, what does that mean for Jarquez Hunter? Because he's not a speed guy, physical force, but he doesn't have much game experience, and he doesn't do anything overtly crazy that the Rams couldn't make up with the other two. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is the player that people are clamoring for. I know he's gotten some Todd Gurley comparisons in the past. My question is this: is there anything about Love's game that would fix the rushing attack for the Rams offense in the red zone? In the open space, I understand, but Corum can take care of that as soon as he stops, dancing side to side for 5 seconds when the hole's not there. If we could just limit that to 3 seconds, I think his production would be just a little bit better. But obviously, he runs the way that he runs for a reason, and it won Michigan a national championship, so an outright national title. So obviously, he's doing something right. But how would that affect their ability to just physically be up front? So these are some of the lingering questions that, of course, the Rams have to address. Once again, Pierce DeLuna from First and Tuna. Check out his work, and he will be with us for a few more episodes. Check those out when they come out. It's been Brock Vieira for the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. Take care.